Okay, so some people were talking about liking to see some videos about kingdom analysis, so I thought I would um, do a video where I just load a bunch of kingdoms and talk about how I would analyze it from the beginning, how I would decide how to open, and what my plan would be uh, for how to win the game on that kingdom. So these are just going to be totally random. Okay, so maybe just a few words about the way I approach this and the way others approach this. There's a lot of people have their strategies for how they analyze a kingdom. I think the bottom line is it's really hard, and the biggest thing is that you just need a lot of practice. I've only been playing Dominion for about a year. I still miss a lot of stuff, even though I play a lot. I've played a lot of games. Played about 3,000 or so on Dominion Online, rated. But so I would love feedback on this video. So one of the first things that I look for is, how is the engine going to work? Does the engine work? Because on the majority of kingdoms, you can build an engine. When I say engine, I mean basically a deck that you can control. You can cycle through your deck every turn, start every turn with a clean shuffle, and as reliably as possible, use all the cards in your deck, and sort of do as much as you can in a turn. Okay, so do we have everything for an engine here? It looks like we probably do, but it might be a little bit tricky. So one of the most important things you need is draw. We have a village in Crown. Crowning a market is like doing a village. It's an expensive way to get to a village, but that you're getting a lot for that. You've got the buys from market, which gives you the potential for building up, especially because, well, let's talk about the other engine components. So imps that come from Devil's Workshop will also be a good source of draw. And there's very strong trashing with Bonfire, Forge. I'm not sure if you're going to get a Necromancer, but you should never forget about the trashing from Zombie Mason. Secret Cave is a strong engine enabler if you're able to pop the magic lamp and get the 3 wishes. Basically, being able to gain a lot of cards is good for that. Library is really good draw on some boards and not on others. It sort of anti-synergizes with hand size increasers like Imp, but it synergizes with hand size decreasers like Secret Cave and Horse Traders. You're going to want a lot of crowns. It's definitely an engine. So the other thing that I think about is how long is the game going to take? What kind of VP is there? Is there any chance that the money could compete with the engine? Bandit Fort is extremely bad for most big money type decks, and it's, when there's no alt VP on this board, there's no alt VP. Sometimes something that rushes to get the provinces, or a deck that's going to get one province at a time quickly, since you have to get provinces to get your points. Sometimes that, if it's enabled by like a really strong money enabler like Treasure Trove or something, it could be faster than building big. So you always think about that a little bit. Masterpiece is sometimes a good money enabler, but Bandit Fort, even without Bandit Fort, I think money doesn't have a shot against the engine. The engine's going to be strong. So how do we open here? The 5-2 is not great because the 2, is not even enough for a Bonfire. So I know what I want my deck to look like, and how to get your deck efficiently to that place, that's another question. I know I want to draw with Library and use Secret Cave, probably to decrease my hand size and then draw up with Library. Um, so the fives are good here. It's not 100% clear that you even want to open one of them. You're gonna need. I will open Market. Market is a card you're gonna need in your deck, and it costs 5. So okay, so here I'm gonna be able to do a couple of things. There's no attack here to worry about, so Guardian's probably not going to see a lot of play unless you have a 3-4 split and you need to want to spike an opening 5, which is not really that important here. I'm hoping that I can bonfire next turn. I should be able to bonfire next turn. Yeah, I have 3 coppers in my deck there. So yeah, I'm not really sure how to do this. Forge would be pretty good. You want to get that magic lamp going. So sort of just getting a variety of cards is going to be good. Maybe take a gold here to help me hit Forge. And trashing some, I mean, I can get rid of the gold if I care about that later, the issue with the Bandit Fort. Okay. Yeah, so I don't have a lot of confidence in the way I'm doing this. You want a lot of crowns. So maybe I'll just move on to the next kingdom. But you want a lot of crowns. You probably want to do some business with Secret Cave or Horse Traders to discard so that you can draw up with Library. You're going to trash down using a combination of Forge and or Bonfire. I mean, Forge is a pretty strong card. And you just want to build and build and build and get as many cards in your deck. I think that once you get your deck under control, you're easily building to double province here. Anyway, that's all I'll say about this kingdom. And I probably won't spend as much time on the other ones. I think that was a little bit of a tough one for a first one. Oh, this is hard. Okay. Well, there's absolutely no question that this is another engine. And it has everything that you could ever want in an engine, and nothing else will stand a chance. So why is what points to engine? There's tons of draw with Patrol and Smithy. You've got Village and Ghost Town, and if you can think of a good way to activate Diplomat, which I can, then Diplomat is a fantastic village. When Diplomat works, it's amazing. And not only that, but Obelisk on Smithy, which you're going to want in your deck, and Triumphal Arch both give you VP for just building your deck big with lots of actions. So this is going to be, this engine you can build to be enormous. You've got trashing from Ratcatcher, which is not the fastest trashing, but it will do. I mean, you wouldn't even need trashing for the engine to be very dominant here. That's something I didn't understand at first, that trashing is not necessary for an engine to be good. You've got lots of buy and extra gains from Charm. Charm is going to be really strong. So what do you want your deck to look like? You're going to have some Ghost Towns. So Ghost Town doesn't really synergize with Diplomat very well. Diplomat may be a bit hard to use well here because the draw is so good. So probably the way that you are, probably Ghost Town is going to be the best village, because when you're playing Ghost Towns at the end of every turn, you're starting every turn with more than 5 cards, which makes playing with Diplomat less good. The building is the capability for building is so big here that um, if especially if you hit 8 early on, you may want to take Prince and Princess Smithy. Start every turn with a ton of cards in your hand, always fantastic. You're going to want to play a lot of terminals. The payload here for your engine, you're going to have crowns so that you can gain. I mean, when crown is around and you can build a big engine, crown is. I mean, I say crown. Crown and charm are both here. I'm talking about charm. When charm is around and you're building a big engine, charm allows you to gain a crap ton of duchies all at once when you have a bunch of charms, and you sort of. So it's sort of like Horn of Plenty can gain a bunch of duchies or provinces. Charm can do the same thing. If you have 5 charms, then you can buy another 5-cost card and gain 5 duchies at the right moment. So you can do a lot of greening at once here. And that's definitely the way you want to have very few turns of greening here. Another way to build payload possibly here, you're not going to trash your coppers super fast, and you're going to get your deck under control fairly quickly with the draw. Like, I would definitely open Smithy here. And probably a rat catcher. So, I mean, I could see a case for some other openings, but mine is not a very good card most of the time, as people will say, but you're going to have a lot of crowns. Crown is an incredible card, and crowning a mine is not that bad. It turns a copper into a gold, and gold is okay payload here. You're going to want your payload to be, I mean, you're going to want to get to the point where the only cards in your deck are, or you're going to have some rat catchers for trashing. You're going to have ghost towns, smithies, and patrols. A lot of crowns, a lot of charms, a bunch of golds, and probably a mine. And maybe you've got Prince doing stuff. So, yeah. So what do you get next? I don't know. Maybe a charm, some economy. I could see a case for pounding the rat catcher pile a little bit harder to trash more. But you know, it doesn't. You know, how do you win in this is you get your deck under control so that you're drawing through it every turn as quickly as possible, and that's it. And then you're going to be amazed with what you can do. Yeah. Okay, make sure you get enough ghost towns. Don't let your opponent kill the ghost town split, because you're going to have so many terminal draw cards. You need to be able to support those. I mean, Crown helps. Crown is village-ish here, although there's not a lot of cantrip action going on to help it. But you know, you can play things like Crown Smithy if that's the way your hand draws. So Prince is village-ish in a way, in that it, you know, allows you to play that terminal at the start of every turn. So yeah, big engine. It's gonna happen here. Okay. So we have extremely strong trashing in remake and counterfeit, and you probably want both. Raise, I mean, 3 top tier trashing cards are here. You're able to get extra buys from Candlestick Maker and Counterfeit, and Quarry helps you. Quarry is going to be a good card to help you gain a lot of actions. So you're building a great big engine once again, and you're able to build up to buying multiple colonies pretty easily here. So how do you draw? Do you use Menagerie? Do you use Cursed Village? Interestingly, there are no terminal actions here except for remake. You probably I mean, you're going to get a remake at the beginning. Like, you definitely open remake here, I think. I'm saving the coin token. So, Cursed Village, you definitely want some in your deck. How strong is it? I think it's pretty damn strong because it basically, if you have a Cursed Village in your hand, Candlestick Maker is as good as Baker, better than Baker, because the card gets, you draw an extra card by depleting your hand size. If you are playing Remake, you trash 2 cards out of your hand. So you hit Cursed Village is just wicked good when you can when you have good cards that decrease the size of your hand, and Remake and Candlestick Maker are those. So I would probably play pretty hard with Cursed Village, and I would be using Remake a lot. Do a lot of gain and play stuff with Remake, probably. You're yeah. So how do you open, and how do you get to that point? Your Remake is going to do a lot of trashing for you. I'd probably get a silver and try to get my deck under control with some Cursed Villages, and maybe get a counterfeit also. And yeah, I'm not really sure. Another silver. I mean, I'm not afraid of taking a lot of silver here because I'm just going to remake them into like quarries. I mean, you sort of have a remake chain where you can take silvers into quarries and remakes, and then remake those things into bakers and Cursed Villages. So I think that this is kind of a high skill board where you play with remake a lot and probably have remake silvers into remakes and have a lot of remakes in your deck in order to just sort of gradually transform all the cards in your deck into better cards. You probably get some golds to help you afford platinum, although you're also going to have a crap ton of coin tokens which help you spike the high price points to get some platina in your deck. This looks like a fun engine. So that's the way I would start it, but yeah, going to have a lot of Cursed Village, a lot of Candlestick Makers, and doing lots of stuff with Remake. It's going to be kind of complicated. We won't get into it. Try to nab as many colonnade points as you can. If colonies weren't enough VP for the engine, I mean, there's just a lot of points on the board. Okay. Another one? Wow. Okay. So, I was recently watching JSH's tier rankings of cards, and he has a top category for cards that he calls centralizing. I guess that word means that when the card is on the board, it virtually always dictates the way the game goes, and the card. Well, there are maybe a few such cards on this board, but the one that my eyes just immediately go to is Villa. And if there's good draw, which obviously there is here with Wild Hunt and Hunting Grounds, then Villa is just absolutely bananas. You should watch some videos of high-level players playing with Villa. You don't get the Villa at the beginning. The whole thing about Villa is that it goes to your hand and takes you back to your action phase. It allows you to, people talk about gain and play. With Villa, you get to buy and gain and play, because you get to go to your buy phase and then back. So you're going to trash with Lookout, and you want to get super trashed. The terminal, so you sort of, the way it works with Villa, and it's good that there's another village and bandit camp there, but you sort of start with terminal draw. Terminal draw is so important to get that, like, I'm thinking about borrowing to open Wild Hunt. Although, like, I really want a Lookout also, so maybe I just open, like, Lookout Silver and hope that I can hit 5. Borrow's going to help you hit 5 if you need to, so. Oh, there's also Border Village, just lots of terminal space. So Gladiator might be okay. Might be better than Silver. And here, maybe a second Lookout. Lookout is a bit of a controversial card. There's a lot of argument about how good it is. I think it's pretty darn good. So anyway, but you got to be careful with it. Here I might borrow to get a Wild Hunt. The way that your deck works is you use your terminal draw, and you run out of actions. You buy a villa. You go back to your buy phase. That's sort of how you build up. Once you have your deck rolling, and you can. Basically the idea is you want to gain cards every turn, and usually by buying, but sometimes using gainers, and make your deck better, right? But the best thing that you can do is to use the cards you gain that turn to increase what you do on that turn. When people talk about gain and play, Villa allows you to do that, and the way you do it is, let's say I have $9 to spend, and I've my engine's sort of built up. Then maybe I get to my buy phase. Maybe I want to have a bandit camp, or maybe I just want a bunch of money at this point. I have so much draw in my deck. I buy a cash to add $5 to my deck, and then I buy a villa, go back to my action phase, play the villa maybe to get some more actions, and then play a hunting grounds and draw up all the stuff I just bought, then play all that stuff and do more. So you're doing more in a turn. I feel like, honestly, almost every game that I play with Villa, I learn more tricks that you can do with it. It's an amazing card. You cannot ignore it, and when it's there, it's unless there's no draw, it's gonna, because you have to have draw to take advantage of it. And here, of course, we do. So yeah, Villa also is a source of plus buy. So even though, well, and then there's a bunch of alt VP that rewards your big engine in the form of Wild Hunt. So there's going to be a lot of Wild Hunt stuff going on. It's going to be a fun engine game. The moral of the story, I guess, is that you play engines a lot, right? Okay. So, what do we have here? There's no plus buy, but you can gain extra cards in a turn using smugglers and ironworks. There's no trashing. Well, okay, trader can trash coppers. It's a poor copper trasher. It's more of a big money enabler than anything, or a defense against Sea Hag. It can trash curses or give you silver instead of curses. This is a hard board to me. The way that this game goes is very different depending on how hard either player goes for Sea Hag. Because it is So and you can so there's a lot of different ways that this could go. I think that the engine here is, even though you can gain a lot of cards with Ironworks. Ironworks tends to be a really strong engine enabler because of how good of a gainer it is. The only draw and village is nobles, and that is not usually a path to victory without very strong trashing to have an engine built on that. It's really hard to be reliable. There's only 8 of them in the pile. Even though all this alt VP is good for engine, yeah, I think this is, well, expedition is sort of draw, but you don't have an extra buy to use on it, so I think that despite all the alt VP on the board, this is a bit money-ish, sort of good stuff. It can get sloggish with Sea Hag. I think that probably you do play with Trader and sort of go a little bit money-ish, and you're going to play with nobles in your deck. You're going to get distant lands for the VP. You probably play with smugglers. Yeah, I would love to hear other people's thoughts on the way that this would go. I think that this is a board that I would not feel very confident about because it's really hard to know how to do. I think you sort of just watch what your opponent is doing and try to have a deck that's going to consistently do better things than what they're doing. You can't get hosed with curses, but you can try to avoid Sea Hag and play with Trader. It's going to turn you into a very money-ish deck, which is maybe okay here because you're not going to get a lot of VP in a turn. So like just buying a distant lands, buying a nobles on a given turn, and I mean it's going to be, I think, kind of sloggish, even if Sea Hag doesn't get hit that much. I mean, well, if people don't play with Sea Hag, then it's like a fast-ish money board. Fool's Gold's not as good as it is on some. Or, I mean, if your opponent's going for Fool's Gold, you buy a Hag, and they're going to be really sad about that because it takes a long time to. That's too slow without the extra buy or trashing. Fool's Gold can be really good if there's extra buy and trashing, but extra buy and trashing tends to facilitate an engine anyway. So, Fool's Gold's not as strong as people think. So how would I open here? Probably silver, and then if I'm first player and if we've both just started silver there, maybe an Ironworks, maybe a Sea Hag, with which I will probably gain a Sea Hag, and I don't know how good the Ironworks is going to be. You're probably going to use it to gain silver. So maybe Trader is better. I might open with Trader. Probably play with Trader and Sea Hag, and just sort of slog it out. I don't think mine is very good. Trader is outclassing mine as a way to, I mean, just anyway. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on that board. I think it's a board where the game takes on a different character based on what people buy, and there's not really like a clear path there. Maybe some people think that Sea Hag would be dominating it. It's not clear to me. Let's do one or two more. Okay, so as I'm looking at how to build an engine here, there's one big thing missing, and that's draw, which makes, and it's the, if there was any kind of draw at all here, this engine is going to be fantastic. What we do have, so we have two trashers in Cemetery and Forge that really like to be paired with draw, because is the only thing resembling draw is Cobbler. So you really want to get all the crap cards into your hand and then be able to spend $4 to buy that cemetery. Okay, so Cobbler Cemetery works. So probably the Forge is just going to be really hard to use effectively because you can't get it into your hand with lots of good cards. So probably you do have to trash and get your deck to look nice. So probably the way that you do that is by getting a Cobbler, and you hopefully can play the Cobbler, draw a hand full of crap, gain a cemetery to your hand, and trash a bunch of things, including the cemetery you just bought, very likely. So since I want to hit Cobbler really quick, probably going to open Silver. Actually, let's go back here. So Vampire, you're going to play with it, and it helps you trash also. The Bat is a slow trasher, but it's a trasher. Since I have the 3/4 here, would say that I would open with the Guardian so that I can get this Cobbler right away. Cobbler's a weak gainer, but here it kind of works okay, I think. And hopefully my Cobbler doesn't miss. Stonemason is another kind of centralizing card, because of it allowing you to gain a ton of actions. Though, I mean, it's a sad board. Artificer is a crazy good card when you can draw. When you can't get a big hand, it's an expensive peddler. So yeah, I'm usually never sad to have a messenger, and I don't know what to do with it, so I'll give everybody a village. Lord Rat doesn't know how to use those villages anyway. So this is pretty sad I bottom deck that Cobbler. The idea is to get that cemetery gain as early as possible. Ghost is going to be alright. Ghost will help you draw a little bit. So the goal here, I mean, the best card on the board is Platinum, and the best VP is Colony. So you got to get your deck as thin as you want to clear out all the crap as much as possible. Your path to Platinum is going to be through gold, up in sort of building up to Platinum. So it's a little bit money-ish, but you got to trash to make your deck good. And there's extra VP and attack from Vampire that's gonna really hurt a more pure money strategy. Can't play the Guardian reliably to block the Vampire attack. The Vampire attack, you shouldn't forget about it because it can really hurt it at the right time. Yeah, so it's not like you're building much of an engine here. I don't know if there's any sort of like native village megaturn thing going on. That's kind of hard. Sometimes it's there. It's something to think about. Native village can be a way. So if you want to get a big hand, you can sort of like native village away a bunch of stuff and then put it all into your hand at once. So that is one way to get a lot of cards in your hand in order to do a big forge or a big cemetery trash. That's something to think about. I think Cobbler, yeah. This is kind of hard. You want a deck that has as many Platina and as few other cards as possible. I think that's the way I would look at this. Okay. I don't know how long is too long for a video like this. I think we have time to do one or two more still. Okay. Well, this is pretty interesting. So Doctor is not that bad of a trasher. Um, Shantytown is not a great village, and neither is Nobles, of course, as a village. But it'll have to do, I think, because there is enough. So, like, this is a deck where you could try. Transmogrify is going to be really good. So you can open Guardian Nobles here on this 2/5. I think that the 2/5 is not really good here. 5/2 is great. I mean, yeah. So for the 2/5, so what I would do is open Guardian here to give me a $6 turn so that I can try to start with this big Doctor Overpay. The Doctor Overpay early on is really quite nice. So look at that, I just trashed 2 coppers in an estate right away. And now I'm gonna have like no money, but so those 4 cards are 1 estate and 3 coppers. So I'm gonna try to trash the estate, which I didn't. It's on the bottom there, so I have. But I mean, I would if I trashed all those coppers, then I just like have no money left. But it's okay. I'm really thin, so that's good. So this is maybe a silly. So if I buy those Guardians there, then I have a bunch of money here. So yeah, I'm probably doing this really stupid. But I can like take this conquest here and then try to trash more copper. I don't know. Maybe I did that badly, but so yeah. Ideally, you use shanty towns for your village and wild hunt, and some you probably take some nobles, but wild hunt for the draw. Wild hunt alt VP is going to be outclassing the nobles alt VP and probably the conquest alt VP. There's no silver gaining except for beggar, which doesn't happen during your turn, so that doesn't help. Wild hunt synergizes pretty well with doctor, actually, because you know the way Wild Hunt works, you play as many of them as you can in a turn, and then the last one you play, you gain the estate to stop your opponent from being able to take those points. And then after you gain the estate, you trash it with Doctor. That's the ideal place to be. So you want to build up to that point. It's kind of annoying without the plus buy. You're gonna have Transmogrify to like turn your estates into shanty towns, and I don't know. I think the engine is like a little bit slow to come together here. And what I've done at the beginning is surely bad. But I think there's enough good stuff here that you want to play that engine. Okay. It's hard though. You have to get really thin, so you have to really use that Doctor well, which I haven't at this point. But you want to get really thin because the draw is pretty poor. If that shantytown was a regular village, it's a totally different story. You've got classic village smithy draw, which is good. Shantytown wild hunt, that's a lot harder to get to the point where you're drawing your deck. So you really, really, really want your money to be in as few cards as possible. Want to have, I mean, whatever I've done here, ideally, I'm getting rid of all that copper. I'm getting rid of those guardians. Um, I'm going to be transmogrifying a lot of stuff. There's always going to be stuff in the trash, so rogue attack isn't anything. Rogue may be nice as a gainer from the trash at some point, but since there's no plus buy, I mean, you've got the alt VP from Wild Hunt, but you can't build enormous, and at some point those go away. So you don't have all the time in the world. The big money here is like not horrible. Vault is not a slouch in a big money game, and so like if your opponent does go for that, and conquest is also like alt VP that can work for money. So if your opponent is going for a money strategy, the engine should win, but not if you do a shitty job like I probably would. So that's something to think about here. So just because I'm making a video about how to analyze kingdoms doesn't mean I think I'm particularly good at it. So I welcome comments. Okay, great. So all the draw here comes from patrol and ghost ship, and there's no village, so you can only play one of those in a turn. So this is it's a bit hard to get your deck under control, probably impossible. So this would be what I would say. I would call this a money board. There's really good trashing in Junk Dealer. If you're playing with Junk Dealer, I mean, you probably Soothsayer is a gold gainer. If your opponent's going to have Junk Dealer in their deck, so the curse isn't such a big deal. It's junk food, as I've heard somebody say. So Ghost Ship is a really strong attack. So you've got to play with that, and you want to get your deck thin so that you play your Ghost Ship as often as possible. I think that's the way I look at it. If you're playing a Ghost Ship really often, then you're doing all right. Yeah, I don't know if it's possible to make your deck like engine-like. I think it's possible to get your deck pretty thin with Junk Dealer and play that Ghost Ship really often and be really mindful of your shuffles. Using Sage, to hunt for that Ghost Ship. Maybe using Stonemason, Soothsayer. You're gaining a lot of cards with those things, and so you may be able to keep the junk, especially if your opponent's playing with Soothsayer. I mean, Soothsayer's good as a gold gainer, but your opponent's probably gonna get one, and that means you're gonna continually have stuff to do with Junk Dealer. So you got a little, economy there, and you play that Ghost Ship as many times as you can. Vampire is going to be really good because you want Junk Dealers in your deck. You can't play a Soothsayer and a Ghost Ship in the same turn. That's it. Of course. So you're probably the Ghost from Cemetery. The Ghost is going to be really good. So with the Ghost, you can play 2 terminals in a turn. So if you get your deck into good shape, then like maybe on almost half your turns you're playing 2 terminals. My goal here would be to, I don't know if your first 5 is a Junk Dealer or a Vampire, but your first 3 5s are probably a Junk Dealer and 2 Vampires, and then you're gaining more Junk Dealers, Ghost Ship, Soothsayer, that kind of thing. So I'm opening silver, and trying to hit those $5 things. And you do want that Ghost. The Ghost is really good. If the Ghost hits a Junk Dealer, that's a little bit of an issue, so you got to be careful with it. But yeah, playing Soothsayer twice is cool. Anyway, I'm opening silver, silver. So this 10's money-ish with like hints of engine because of how strong the trashing is and how much control. You can't just try to play it like a regular money board, like you know, like classic big money. I'd probably get a junk dealer and then my next two. This may be a sage, and then my next 2 5s would be vampires. Having a couple of vampires in your deck is pretty good. How about one more? Okay. Well, great board. So how do you build an engine here? You've got a village that is not great, but has neat tricks and N. Using the on buy for N at the end of towards the end of your shuffle to help you get a good next turn can be pretty nice. Or if you accidentally trigger a bad reshuffle, or maybe purposely trigger a bad reshuffle, say, I'm going to buy an N and make it not so bad. That's good. Monastery is a great trasher, especially if you can gain multiple things per turn, which you're going to get Engineer here. So like, I'm opening Monastery and Engineer and really hoping that they collide, because that is going to be just bonkers. They don't, but at some point they will. So there's lots of little tricks for this engine. You need ends, you need stuff. So Apothecary is a good card. A bit of a high skill card sometimes, but you have really awesome enablers for Vassal in Apothecary and Armory. Armory is a kick-ass gainer for gain and play stuff. So yeah, you want to do a lot of stuff with the terminals that you have here, and so you have to pound that in pile. An issue with this board, there's no alt VP, and the only attack is Rabble. So like, big money has a chance here. And Lord Rat opens Courtyard Potion. I think Courtyard Big Money is like not that terrible here. Probably the way that you do it is open Courtyard Monastery. Monastery is really good with terminal draw. So despite the fact that you have everything you need to build a really big engine here, you have to take it. I mean, that engine has to come together lightning fast, and it has to take advantage of gain and play stuff with Engineer and Armory. So you need practice at being a good engine builder, and I think the engine is going to beat the money here. But if you're like only an okay engine builder like me, you're going to lose to either some scrub playing the Courtyard Monastery open into some big money, or into to somebody who built the engine faster. I mean, as Dan Brooks says, you should always try to play the engine if you're not sure, and so you should try to build the engine here. Courtyard is a good money enabler. Courtyard is just a damn good card. You have to understand how good it is to sort of set up your next turn with that top decking. It's absolutely fantastic. So I don't know if I'm playing with Apothecary or not. Apothecary maybe is like the best way to get your deck under control. The engineer is pretty good. I think I'd rather just keep the engineer. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I know where I want to be. How to get there? Somebody else should make that video. Okay. Yeah, you got to get that engine together pretty quick, but you're going to use Council Room for the buy, and the amazing cycling that it gives you. Yeah, I think you do play Apothecary. I think you play with like most of these cards. Depending on your shuffles, I could even see a case for taking a Transmute only because, which is a, Transmute goes in JSH's Explain Yourself pile, I'm sure. But, you almost never would get a potion just to buy Transmute. But you're getting a potion for Apothecary. Maybe Transmute helps you get extra duchies in order to catch up with that money player. Something to think about. I mean, in a classic situation where you have no alt VP, one of the reasons why an engine with extra gains is viable is because it can gain a lot of cards at once. Probably not, but there's like an outside chance that there's some sort of like rush strategy with probably not. With engineers, estates, and stuff. I mean, depending on how the game goes, like there could be some weird stuff where you crush the estate pile. Like if there's a mirror, like a lot of engineers and armories are going to be gone and ends. So like you could sort of end up building up, and the pile out could happen with like engineers, ends, and estates or something. I could see it happening. I don't know. Vassal would be pretty sweet for payload if you can, like you have a vassal in your hand, you play an armory, you gain a vassal onto your deck, and then you play a vassal to play the other vassal. That's pretty cool. Or if you have the actions to spare, you really do need a lot of those ends. I don't know. Maybe the money is too fast. Somebody, it'd be interesting to test out. This is one of those situations where the money definitely has a shot. You want to trash with, like I said, I think the money play is to open Courtyard Monastery and then get as much cash as you can from there, and yeah, it's possible that you could like get an engineer and transition to the money thing. I don't know. To be honest, like if I rolled this board on just like an auto match, I would play. I would try to do the engine because that's what I'm the most practice with. If I rolled this board in a league match and I just was like, oh, I really just want to win, I think I might go for the money thing because I'm pretty sure that if your opponent can't figure out how to get the engine rolling fast here, that the money thing is going to win. There have been some times recently where I skipped Apothecary and I was amazed at how well my opponent was able to get their engine rolling by the draw, because the Apothecary draw is so good early. So that is something. Maybe you even open Potion for that. Like Potion Monastery. I don't know. Love to hear others' thoughts on this. Okay, well, that's been almost an hour, so that's probably long enough. Love to hear your thoughts from all different kinds of Dominion players. So thanks for watching.